If you could share as well, that would be great. Come on in. Hey there. Let us know who's here. Let us know where you're watching from. I got a beautiful special guest with me today. I mean, fine as dinner wine, a little past 9. Come on in, come on in.
Where do you
What's
see
up with you?
people?
We'll see the comments.
Oh, okay.
See, we don't know you here until you comment. So go ahead and comment. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to share this while we wait.
I hope everybody's having a good weekend.
JJ,
Hey, JJ.
what's up, bro? Stephanie shared. What's up, Stephanie? I know you're here. What's up,
Hey,
sis?
Steph.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Thanks for sharing. I'm sharing as well. How you all doing? Hi, Marie. Good to see you. White Cloud is
Hi,
here.
Cloud.
The WC, the Dub C in the house. What's up with you? Good to see you all. I'm sharing. I'm sharing. We're going to talk about rest today. There we go. Good to see you all. I brought someone in with me today so that, to improve the beauty of the broadcast. The visuals aren't always as good as they are today, so you are very welcome for the set improvement. The set improvement today. Uh,
The tree.
no, I wasn't talking about a tree. It wasn't, not, no, we're not talking about a tree. Uh, um,
The tree does make it look pretty, though.
yeah, the tree, whatever, tree. Um, that's not what I'm looking at, but the tree. So yeah, no, we're glad that you all are with us today. Um, I'm trying to get to a post I shared earlier this week because it's kind of going to be the center of the conversation that we'll have with you today. Um, Here's the post that I shared earlier this week, and I'll give you a little bit more feedback, and then Camille Jones, my wife, my partner, my sidekick, is with us today to share some insights from her perspective as well. But I posted and I said, rest is essential to bringing the best version of yourself forward. I'd rather have access to the best of you 80% of the time than the worst of you 100% of the time. And then the caption I wrote, if you overgrind, you'll need a new transmission. And this kind of concept of rest has been with us since the beginning of time, even as we go back to the Genesis creation story. We find that the omnipotent, all powerful, omniscient, all knowing, omnipresent, all places at the same time, God, think of that, the sovereign, mighty, powerful God, at the in the seventh day of creation, chose and selected that as an example to us as a day of rest, a day of rest. How you doing, Mom Pimpleton? Good to see you. Merry Christmas. As a day of rest, and so with that day of rest, another interesting thing that I've been thinking about lately is if we go one day before that, on day 6, we came to the creation of humankind, right? That's the day where he said, let us make man in our own image and in our likeness. He breathed the breath of life into the nostrils. We became a living creature out of the man, the rib. You all know the story. We don't got to repeat the whole thing. But he created man and woman on that 6th day. And so the on the sixth day we were created. On the next day of creation, the first thing that was appointed to the creation of humankind was a day of rest. So really, it was our first day where he said, "Okay, I made you. Now I want you to rest. Before you start doing all this work, before you start naming all these animals, before you start having to figure out how to deal with temptation and struggle and with stuff trying to pull you off course, before you go embark upon the battles that you're about to go to, before you clock in, what I need you to do is rest because I need you to be equipped for what's coming after this." And so, really, as I think on this concept of rest and how it has developed in my thinking and in my life, I can't talk about this subject without being very transparent and letting you all know that much of my theory on this did not start with me whatsoever. But Camille, I have been blessed with a partner who sees things that I often don't see, which is a benefit. That, oh man, I'm not trying to go here, but it can either be a point of conflict or it can be a point of complementary partnership when you are connected and aligned with someone who sees the world from a different perspective than you do. Thankfully, in this area, it has been able to be a complementary partnership. And I think back to the early days of ministry, of pastoral ministry, when we started a church in Big Rapids, Victory Life. What's up, V Life? When we started a church there, I was like, let's go. I was working. I was diving in. I don't want to take a break. I don't want to stop. Let's get it done. I feel called. I feel purposed. Got to keep it moving, keep it going. Plan this, do that, go here, go there. And my wonderful bride was like, dude, you tripping, and helped me to begin to see the importance of figuring out where you need to take a break. And so I don't want to talk too much about it because she'll fill us in, I'm sure, today as we begin to dive into more of this. But I wanted to just start right there by just saying, "Hey, Camille, how? Oh,
Hi.
she sure is fine." Did I say that already? Okay. To say, tell us a little bit about kind of where you get your thinking as it relates to rest and action, those starts and pauses, recharging, all of that stuff. Just give us a little bit of insight into where you're at with that.
Um, as I think back about where I got this belief or philosophy from, I learned a lesson during a time when we were leading Victory Life, and we had to be gone on some Sundays. And we were gone for like other ministry stuff, but it was when we were going away to receive, to learn, to get some downloads from the Lord, through other vessels of God. And I learned in that time that we started getting different ideas, fresh new ideas, and even like a renewed excitement about the ministry that we were called to during that time. And I started seeing a pattern. We weren't gone a lot on Sundays, but when we were, I started seeing and feeling a pattern of just rejuvenation, and we were able to come back with like more of a full tank, fresh ideas, which that kind of stuff spills over to people who are around you.
Yeah.
So when we could come back fresh, then that was good for the whole thing, the whole ministry. Those who labored with us could feel that, and they gleaned from that too. So, another thing for me is I am a natural introvert. So, I think maybe that's why I caught the concept so clearly during that time, because in general, I like to get away to myself and just recharge and just not have stimulation and not be so busy and things like that. And it allows my brain to just not be so loud. My inner self to not be so loud. It's just so physically, yes, resting, but also internally, it's just bringing it down. And that for me, just as a natural introvert, is recharging anyway. So those two things were connected for me.
Yeah. Yep. And she led that charge in our household. But even beyond that, I can recall uh, when you got the inspiration, like, okay, if we're feeling like this, if we're tired, if we need a break, then the people who are working hard with us need the same thing so that they can bring the best of themselves
Yeah.
to what we're doing, because you can see the patterns where people start getting worn out and you're asking them to do more than they really have capacity to do, and they're not as energized, they're not as creative, and you can see that happening. But many times when you're in a position of leadership, you don't stop and say, well, just rest, but you
Right.
instead say, well, I need you, doc, I need you on the organ, on the drums. I need, I've been on both sides of that in my life at times. So one of the things that stands out to me that I remember is when Camille was like, we need to let the band, because I'm a band person, she's a music person, we need to let the band get refreshed in that same way, because that's one of those areas where it's like, ooh, if a singer is away, you have some backup singers and you can kind of keep going. But if the band is, if the keyboardist is away or the bass player, then it's like, ugh, how are we gonna
Yeah.
still keep it going?
And not to cut you off,
No,
but
you
to
good.
add, even so, with the band that was at Victory Life, they weren't on a rotation. So a lot of the people who did work in the ministry, there was some sort of rotation a lot of times.
Right.
But the band, it was the same people
Yeah.
every week. And just your experience and knowing what your experience had been in the music life, I knew the output that you had to give. And I knew too that stuff doesn't just happen on Sunday. It's like you got to prepare during the week. There are rehearsals, stuff like that. So just that whole thought process for like, the band especially. But this is just a overall general good practice.
Right.
But at that time, it was like the band really needs, to know again, because there's a loyalty, and a responsibility that they feel to show up, to give, to give that effort, to give that their talents back to the Lord. So anyway,
No,
I was
no,
just sorry. I kept going, but
it's all good.
but just adding, that those are other elements, that people don't necessarily see. That
Yeah.
the band had a lot more output, and some of them it was music is their livelihood, and so all week,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that they were doing.
Right. No, good. And so I remember, like, we put our heads together and talked about how could we make that work. And just the recognition. I know we have people who lead ministry stuff here, and so sometimes I like to throw some of these nuggets out there. Sometimes people don't take a break because they're relying on you. They're relying on the finances that they get. And I remember we were like, we're gonna give them an option to take a week off at set intervals, and we'll get back to that interval piece in a minute. And it will be a paid week off, so that there's
They
no
wouldn't have to worry
excuse.
about that.
Yep, they don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. We'll handle that, because that's how you care about people, right? Right. And whether you're leading a ministry or whether you're leading a business
Yeah.
in your everyday vocational work, I think these are good principles. When you allow people to recharge, you get better output from those people as well. So it benefits not just them, but the whole of what you're trying to get done. But those intervals, can we talk about that? Because she
Yeah.
was very strategic in how she even postured it. I remember some of these conversations with band
Yeah.
members, asking them certain questions about that. So yeah, you want to talk about that?
I remember it was so funny bringing this up to the different band individuals because they were like, "Can't do that. I don't need a break, or I don't feel like I can take a break." But hey, we're telling you. I'm gonna use Jake for instance. Jake, our bass player, he just could not fathom like figuring out a day or a time to, take a day off that was paid, a Sunday off. Cause it's funny because it's almost like when someone gives you that freedom, you're like, wait, no, but I don't want to do that.
Some
So
of sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Some of them actually still came to church.
yeah.
It's like, you're not playing. This is your week off. They would still come. It's like, okay, I mean, fine.
So, but I mean, I appreciate the heart behind it, and I totally understand too, just that feeling of like when you're doing what feels right, what you're called to do. There's this thing that clicks in your mind that it's like, I got to keep going, I got to keep pushing. Yep, I'm tired. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep giving. So anyway, there was like this whole beginning conversation where we had to like convince and make them appreciate that whole concept, and to embrace it. I put it that way. So yeah, the Lord, I would say the Lord because I have no other way of knowing how I came up with this concept, but it was really strong on me, that intervals are so helpful for people who, especially people who are busy in whatever they're doing in life. So it's, you figure out, think about, but consider, what is your threshold for
There it is.
output?
Yeah.
What, how much output can you give before you feel depleted, before you start getting irritated with things, before you feel like you're not like you're underappreciated, and like, or like you're just feeling like you're going through the motions? How long does it take for you to get to that point? That's when you know you need rest.
Yeah, like right before that.
Right. So, so for when we started going through, the various people and us ourselves, that was the question. How often do you need a break? Really, like, seriously think about it. I mean, this goes all into, mental health, self-care, all that. So for me, I realized my threshold is 3 months. Every 3 months, I need to be taking some sort of rest. That's how I work. I'm guessing that mine was 3 months also because, for all you introverts out there, that when you're engaging with people, when you're giving a lot of output, any output at all, it doesn't have to be a lot. That is so much energy. So you have to re-energize. You have to, there's this
Refill.
feeling of, I need to go into my little place and just be me and not have all that. So I feel like it's so much more energy when you're an introvert and you have to do things that where you're interacting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like an introvert can. So I'm right on that line. And a lot of y'all don't know this because you always see me with the outward
output.
manifesting. Like I'm presenting or I'm teaching and training. So a lot of people tend to assume that I'm an extrovert, but I'm not all the way. I'm like right on the line. I remember the Myers-Briggs assessment. I took it and I was right on the line of introvert and extrovert. And it made perfect sense to me because I can turn introvert on and I'm sorry, I can turn extrovert on, but then I have to refill. So some people are extroverts, and if they are by themselves, that's draining to them. And so they need people. Give me people. Give me people. Give me
Right.
action. And that's what will refill and
Right.
revive them. But an introvert, it's like, okay, I can do the people thing. I can do y'all. But afterwards, I need to come back
Right.
to a place where it's just me. That's why I learned that I like to take myself out on a date. I like to go to dinner and a movie by myself. I love my wife and I love the time that we have together. But there's a part of me that needs sometimes just to just
Yeah.
be me.
You're a better you.
Yeah, so that I can be
Mm-hmm.
a better husband, a better pastor, a better employee, what a better business owner, whatever that is that I'm doing at that moment in time. You have to refill, and that's something else that I wanted to talk about a little bit today. How these concepts, um, each of us, we do different things, but we have some sort of responsibility to something. And I think that it's really important, as she talked about. I was looking for the word, and that's what she postured it as. What is your threshold? And so that's my question for you today. What is your threshold? And so many times we begin to allow the responsibilities of life to take us past our threshold. And then we aren't functioning in the best of who we are because we're worn out. And so I'm giving you 100% of a poor version of myself, where I could do better to give you a little bit less. You don't have full access to me every day, every hour. But when you do, I'm fully present. Somebody type, I got to be fully present. I'm
Fully present.
fully present with what I'm doing. So when I'm with my family, I need to be fully present with my family. When I'm at my job, I need to be fully present at my job. When I'm doing ministry, I need to be fully present doing ministry. And the problem is that many times we're partially present in situations that are looking for all of who we are to bring to the table, and we're unable to do that because we haven't allowed ourselves to recharge, to refill, and we've gone past that threshold. The threshold, that's the word. We've gone past that threshold into a place of functionality where we're bringing the worst of us forward, and we start missing stuff. We start making excuses. We start not showing up. Oh my goodness, you can see all these patterns, and I've done all of these. You start kind of avoiding it. I'm frustrated, so let me just avoid it altogether. You go MIA when really all you needed was some rest. All you needed was some rest. And so, yeah.
And another thing that I found is when you are committed, disciplined, and diligent in honoring that time for yourself. So we put this on the calendar,
Yeah.
for the two of us, the band. Just because with ministry, you got to fill those spots in, when someone's gone. So on those rotations, I remember there were times when Rajel, he would try to skip over his date,
A lot.
his threshold date.
Yeah.
He often would.
Yeah.
And if you don't honor that time, then you're still doing yourself a disservice. It doesn't help if it's on the calendar and you don't follow through. If you are consistent with it, and it doesn't mean you need to take a whole week off every time, but if you're consistent with it, you can do, a day. And then every now and then we still all need our vacations to get away from it all for, at least a week. But if you're consistent with that rest, with honoring your threshold, then you're good to go. If you can get that day. And the other thing is mentally, when you have that day in mind,
Yeah.
and it's coming, it's on the calendar, people that you're planning for it, other people are planning for it or whatever, then you can work toward that. You can make it to that day and say, okay, I can relax, and on top of that, resting, it really quiets down so much for a person. It's amazing to me how much I can hear the Lord more when I'm just when I allow myself to rest.
Yeah.
Because, we have a lot of stuff that we go through during the days, during the weeks, a lot of stuff that has to be held up, a lot of stuff that has to, continue to go. But when you allow yourself, give yourself space to rest, then you're doing something even more for yourself. And I didn't realize I was doing that for myself either. But it was allowing me to get fresh, new downloads.
Yeah.
It helped me to be more creative.
Yeah, and so like the part she talked about where she was shaming, I mean, where she was explaining how I did. I'm just playing. It's completely true. And so what we do, and probably what some of you all who are watching this do, is you convince yourself, I'm okay. I'm okay. Listen, everybody needs to say this. You are not, I am not okay. I am not okay. I need my rest.
Acknowledge
Yeah,
that.
you just have to acknowledge you're not a machine. Oh my goodness. I feel that. I feel that thing real good. You are not a machine. You cannot burn the candle at both ends, as the old folks say. You cannot. You are going to wear out. If you don't put any gasoline in your car, it's going to run out of gas. It is not going to get you to your destination. What did I say in that comment? If you keep over grinding yourself, like in a car again, if you over grind your gears, you're gonna need a new transmission. That's expensive. If you don't have a transmission, you don't have the ability to switch into the next gear. Oh my goodness. And some of you are ready to go to the next dimension, to the next level. But the problem is you've been over grinding your gears. And so you don't have anything left to be able to accelerate to the vision that you see in front of you, the place that you're trying to go, the goals that you're trying to accomplish, because you did not allow yourself, like me, you said, I'm okay. I can keep going. I'll be all right. This is how I do. All I do is grind. I hustle. It's about hustle, all this
It's a
stuff.
badge
And
of
we
honor.
convince ourselves that we're doing a good thing, right? It's like she said, it's a badge of honor, when really what you're doing is setting yourself up to remain locked in at the same dimension, because you don't have any oomph in you. You don't have any ability to accelerate to the next dimension, because you have not allowed yourself to rest. You have not allowed yourself to recognize what your threshold is, and to stop yourself before you go over that threshold from causing some permanent damage to your progress, but also to your body. Oh my goodness, to your emotions. Like, you wonder why you always short going off on people. Well, because you're unrested. And sometimes what we need is not a word from the Lord. It's not a whole. I mean, I'm not saying we don't need that. Don't take me out of context. But what we need is a nap. What we need is to sit ourselves down, to take several seats, as y'all like to say, and to rest, to rejuvenate, to regenerate. And like she said, when we go on vacation, which COVID has thrown some wrenches in some of that stuff, but we still have found a way here and there. But when we do that kind of thing, that's where the creativity. Like, have you ever noticed when you get away from your responsibilities, you have all sorts of vision. You have all sorts of ideas.
Things
Like,
become
man,
clear.
yeah.
Some things that you've pondered over for so long, or just wondered what you should do or how you should do it. You get some rest, and all of a sudden, it's clear what to do.
Yeah, because we give room. We make room. We don't even have room to think when we're so engrossed in our daily routines, thinking about the next thing we have to do. So we're not, again, all the way back to it, we're not fully present where we are, because we're thinking about our next responsibility, and we're thinking about, oh man, when this is over, I got to figure out dinner, and when this is over, I got to take care of this other responsibility. And so we find ourselves in this cycle of not living, trying to live. And so yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you all about today. And I knew that she has the anointing on this subject, on this space. Has been a great blessing to me, to help me get better and to stay on me. I'm still not there yet. Y'all pray my strength. I'm still not all the way there, but I do know that there's truth in it, and I know that it works. And when I submit to this concept, things go better. Ideas start firing. Even this morning, like, had some ideas. I've been on a couple days break for Christmas, and it's like, oh man, this is what I should be doing. This is the content that we should be
The whole
generating.
concept.
Yeah, and it came fully because I was able to sit myself still, and I've been able to rest. And so that's my encouragement to you today. Do what you were created to do. The day after humanity was created, you were called to have rest. And so take advantage of those opportunities. Be fully present wherever you are. If you're resting, be fully present in the rest. And I believe that you're going to be able to get the acceleration that you need to pursue those goals. You're going to get the clarity and the sparks of idea and vision that will allow you to see what you could not see when you were just on that daily grind. And your body is going to thank you. Your soul is going to thank you. Your spirit is going to thank you. I thank you, Camille, because you are that charge and that voice in my life. And I thank you for coming on here with your introverted self and having this conversation with us today. I'm sure it's been a blessing to you all, just as it's been a blessing to me. You all have a phenomenal week. Any last words?
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I see your comment, JJ. No problem. Thank you, Rajel, for trying, because it's not an easy concept for everyone. So,
It's not.
but the point is to try and to try to be disciplined at it, and then maybe it'll become a habit.
Yeah, yeah. Right. One last thing. So if I even when I fail, I succeed with this when I do try, because if I was on my own, I wouldn't take any kind of rest. Right now, I aim for, every 5 or 6 months, I need to make sure that I'm doing it. And sometimes I miss it, but at least I get one or two in a year, which is better than I probably would on my own. Stephanie, nobody don't want to see none of your comments. Okay, thank you. You work too much. Praise the Lord. Rest, rest, rest. All right.
I just want to say, give it a try, people. Try it, and be open to what it can do for you. For those of you who are like workaholics, or those of you who feel like you can't get away, or you better not because this will fall. I mean, you still, again, you have to be responsible and plan for being away in a lot of cases, but give it a try. You just might like it.
Yeah. It's amazing to see how stuff will still succeed even if you're not there. Yeah, that's humbling at times, but some of us have been trained in our mind to think the business is going to shut down if we don't show up. Well, that's not the truth. If you get hit by a Mack truck tomorrow, then the next day they're going to replace you and keep it moving. So instead, rest. Daniel Tiger, who is my daughter's pastor for the first several years of her life, taught her this message: rest is best. Rest is best. So you all, on this Sunday and on this extended weekend, for some of you, get some rest. Rest is best. Have a phenomenal week. We love you.
Love you guys.